Mel, thank you for joining me on GV Talks.
Thank you for having me.
How are you feeling?
I'm a little bit nervous.
That's right. I think that's normal for most people. That's how you feel when you're excited, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like I was saying to my friend this morning, I'm like, I feel like my body actually is addicted to the adrenaline because my mind feels clear, and then coming here, I'm like, my just go-to response is like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But I feel okay, but my body's like, no, abort mission, abort mission.
What else do you do that gives you that feeling?
Anything out of my comfort zone, I suppose. I feel like I'm someone that's kind of doesn't want to leap out of that comfort zone. So whenever I do something like this, it's like, oh my God, you're doing it. So, but here I am. So yeah, good.
What's the conversation in your head that gets you to commit to something that you have to jump out of your comfort zone to do? Is it a fear of missing out?
No, I feel like it's be big or go home. Like I'm at this point in my life where I'm sick of playing small, of like hiding behind myself so I don't have to be, so I have people's approval. If you don't say anything, how can anyone not approve of you, you know? So I feel like I'm just at this place where I'm like, go all in.
Yeah. We'll get more into that in a second. Before we get too deep into it, do you want to let the Shepparton people know who they're listening to?
I'm Mel. Hi, everyone. And I dread having to introduce myself. I feel like I'm filling out a medical form. Age. Date of birth.
It's a weird question, isn't it? Because people answer it differently. Like we spoke about this briefly before you came in. Who are you isn't your name.
Yeah, it's not what you do. It's not your name. I feel like, you know, we're all just souls here learning our lessons, and we're here to transform, uplift and create. But we get carried away with the ego side of it.
Yeah. But like what you do and what your name is and all that sort of stuff does make up a part of who you are.
Yes, well, that is your, I suppose, a form of your identity, yes.
Yeah. So what do you do?
Well, I'm a mum of 3.
Yes.
So that would be one thing that I'd say that's majority of what I do, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure you get this a lot, but your kids are so photogenic.
I don't get that. Everyone's like, oh my God, they're so cute.
And they're well behaved.
Oh, yes.
How do you feel about being a mum?
I love it. It's always something that I've wanted to do when I had no idea what I was getting into. Obviously, at 23, you think you know, you think you're ready, and wow, is it so different to what you expect, but it's beautiful.
Yeah. Who were you at 23?
Who was I at 23? Someone driven by their ego, insecure, a lot of self-doubt, but all I wanted was, to be a mum. Literally, that was just like, you know, even at school, I'm like, this is bullshit. I don't want to learn anything here. Like, I just wanted to go out and live, I suppose. And to me, that was having that family and having my 3 kids. I did want 4, but we're done.
So were you searching for that?
I suppose, yeah, up until this point now where I feel like I'm connecting more to myself. That was what I wanted, was to be a mum and have that life. Whereas now it's like I want to, you know, obviously it's something I'm always still going to do, but I see I'm so much more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is starting a family at a younger age something that you had to negotiate with your partner?
Nah, he was keen.
He was keen.
Yeah, he was keen. Yeah.
What sort of values does he have?
Oh, well, he's a jokester. He's fun. Yeah.
What does he do for work?
He's a fitter and turner.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, awesome. How would you describe the ego to somebody who isn't familiar with that term?
Ego would be a false sense of self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what things make that up? How you think you're perceived?
Yeah. Yeah, like how you think you're perceived and who you think you are. You know, there's certain traits that you get along the way that aren't necessarily who you are. Like, even you could be like, I'm not a runner. Who says you're not a runner? Who says you can't be a runner now? You know what I mean? Like, they're those limiting beliefs that you kind of carry along the way that give you a sense of self when really it's not who you are. It's just something that you've been conditioned to believe.
Can you give me an example of some of those things that you've overcome?
For me, I feel like, it's, some of the insecurities, the self-doubt. My ego likes to play small. It's scared of putting myself out there to then, I've always kind of needed that validation, like tell me I'm worthy, tell me I'm good enough. And I'm at this point in my life now where I give that to myself. Like, I give myself that love and acceptance, and I'm okay with how people see me. That's the first time in my life that I'm okay with how people see me. I'm okay that if it's different to how I actually think I am, because I know in my heart who I am. So it's okay with how people perceive me. I'm okay with that now.
Do you think that that was a learned behaviour? Like how you acted prior?
Yes, I feel like, we do, a lot of the time we follow the same-sex parent in that kind of term. Okay. So like my mum, she's always been a stay-at-home mum. Love you, mum. And she's always been there for us. And, she has had a lot of anxiety and things like that. And she's kind of just stayed small and stayed protected in her little comfort zone. And, so I've got a lot of that from her. And I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, I don't have to carry that anymore. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So be more specific, like how do you get out of that? Like obviously you accept yourself more, but is it you trying to do things that perhaps your mum would have said no to?
Yeah, well, this is something that I feel like I've said yes when my ego wanted to say no. I feel like, sometimes we have to go back to go forward. So a lot of my stuff that I've had to deal with is just past traumas, past wounds, and just integrating them and feeling them and, releasing that stuff that holds you back, whether it's, the fear of judgment, the shame or the guilt or needing to feel perfect, just letting that stuff go and moving forward. And then you can come to the present moment, have a conversation with you, and it's not from my past.
Yeah.
It's not driven in that kind of, yeah.
Do you think that your mum's happy with how her life has unfolded?
Yeah. Yes. I think there's so many things that she would change within herself, but her path was exactly what it needed to be. Even for us kids, our journeys are our own, and I feel that in my heart that you can't rush someone's journey. You can't rush them being somewhere that they're not. And Mum is awakening more to her inner power and the strength that she has within, and she's finally just letting her mind be a little bit more silent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all about this unfolding of society accepting people feeling their emotions. I think that's unreal.
Yes, yeah.
What I feel like people still need to work on is, to what degree do you feel that emotion? Like, are you angry to the right amount? Or is it building into resentment? Are you do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I kind of feel like, that's what I've been working on figuring out. Like, I'm all about, I feel all my emotions, or I try to, and I try and meditate on how I'm feeling to know exactly
to
what
tune
it is.
into it, yeah.
But now I'm trying to figure out to what degree is the right amount for certain situations to feel those emotions.
Yes, yeah.
Do you feel like you get caught up sometimes, in certain emotions where you stay there longer than you should?
Yeah, I still get triggered. I'll still be like, I've asked the kids 3 times to do something. My boundaries haven't been met. And then I've had to yell. And I'm like, oh, for God's sakes. This isn't what we do. But sometimes, it is I think when you're still from your heart space, it can really overcome anything in that moment. Like, you know what I mean? Like, love really does win. Like, it dissolves all. So if you're feeling that anger, it's like you turn it back around inwards. Okay, why am I angry right now? Why am I triggered? What is this trying to tell me? Am I fearful in this moment? What has this brought up? Has this brought up a past trauma of I didn't feel good enough at that time, or shit, I've just realised that this anger, I have a pain in me about this situation, you know, like it's always stemming from something. I feel like it's not necessarily that in the present moment you're feeling angry. Half the time you've been triggered by something from a past event that you haven't dealt with in you. Yeah.
So if someone is expressing anger towards you, how do you deal with that?
I feel like I'm still learning to just stay in your light. Like, that's their anger, it's not yours, and we don't have to take that on. Like, as much as you can. I feel like when you're present, it's like you kind of, there's that calmness there that you think, ooh, you can see that they've been triggered and that there's something in them going on, and you can hold space for it, but you don't necessarily have to. You don't have to take it on as your own. You don't have to get angry back. It can just be like, okay, I see how you're feeling right now. Like, you don't have to meet them there.
It's somebody that you care about, so you don't brush it off, you address it.
Yeah.
Do you find that helps when you try and help them through it? Like would you say, like, why are you feeling these feelings? Or would that just make you more frustrated?
I feel like, so say if it's Daniel and I kind of let him have his anger, let him get through it, and then he'll always come to the moment clear up and fine. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, when someone's in that anger, you can't really, they're not going to hear anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if they're triggered or they're in that, then they're just going to be in it. Yeah. Until they're ready to come out of it, you know?
It's exactly right. I think that comes back to what we were saying about being in a certain emotion for the right period of time. Like, I feel like maybe that's how I would deal with my anger. I need a little bit of time to come back to myself. Yeah. And then I'm...
Yeah, because it's taken over you for a moment, and then you're like, hang on a minute.
But it would be a problem if it had taken me over for a day.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. If you sat with it all. Yeah.
What about holding on to the moments of happiness that you have? Because they're fleeting.
Yeah, that's I think everything's temporary. So it's like you can't get too attached, because at the end of the day, that real happiness, I think, cliche, but it really comes from within. Like, it's about being able to have those moments of happiness, have those moments of anger, and know that within you, you're still safe and you're still whole within yourself. Like, it's because what else is real? If that's always coming and going, really all you've got is yourself. So
where do you find yourself when you are feeling very, very close to yourself and happy? Like, is there certain moments that reoccur often?
Yeah, I feel
where you find that feeling?
I'm someone that I really do need time alone. It's like I have to isolate to then recharge. Like, I really need that. Yeah. It's like I'm realizing how sensitive I am to other people's energies, and it's just still trying to stay in my protective field and not be altered by, you know, someone else's nervousness or someone else's anger, and just being able to be like, I'm safe here, within myself.
Have you carefully selected the people that you spend your time with? Around
more
what you
so
just said?
Lately, yeah, because I feel like I'm just, because I haven't realised, it's like I could be near someone and leave and be like, oh, I feel really shit, or there's something, I feel not so good here, and I haven't been able to realise that wasn't me, that I've taken that on. So I've only really lately just really seeing what serves me, what drains me, and just asking myself that question a lot. Is it serving me or is it draining me?
What would be the word that you would use to describe what we're talking about right now? Like, if you could summarise it in one word, like, what would be the word that you would pick?
Like, in general, our whole conversation?
Yeah, like... like we're talking about like emotions and coming back to yourself and like the people that you surround yourself with, like, is there one word that you'd use to describe that? Like, what are you working on?
I feel like, inner work, healing work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it really is just healing. It's, yeah.
So when did you consciously start implementing that into your life, like to the degree that you do now?
To the degree I do now, honestly, this year.
Yeah.
It's like I felt like I got to this point of I was sick of the fear that I was living in, like just fear-based reality for everything. Like the kids going up the slide, like just the whole time, like anything in my life, just that first response was fear. And I got to the point where I'm like, I can't live like this anymore. Can't live in this fear anymore of just life. Like, yeah, we don't have the control. It's an illusion to think that we can only control ourselves. Like that's the only thing we can control.
Yeah. I could see you being an overprotective mother.
Yeah.
You want your kids to face adversity, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Or
I'm like, when you said adversity, I'm like, what does that mean?
like going down the slide and perhaps hurting themselves. I feel like that's a part of...
100%. Like I want them to be able to, I feel like, all of that is so important. But you need the opposite. You can't just always have love and safe and light. Yeah. You need to have the other shit so you appreciate the good stuff, you know.
And you need to build that part of your character where you can go out and fight the snakes.
Yes.
Because they will come one day for your kids, and they need to be equipped to deal with those demons that no matter how much you look after them and protect them, they will have to deal with them themselves one day.
Yep. The kids at school and the energies that they're going to be around and things like that to just,
Do you feel like the stuff that we're talking about right now is becoming more accepted and more popular?
Yes, I do. I feel like, because even on my Instagram, I only follow accounts like this. So I feel like it's the majority of what my life is. I like deep, meaningful conversations. I feel like, we all need that good amount of play and fun, but I do like depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you find that in conversations with your friends?
Yeah. Well, I've got, Jessie and I, she's my good friend. Hi, Jess. We just talk like this the whole time. Like, she's like, fuck, I was triggered today.
Am
I allowed to swear? Oh my God, sorry. And we're just there for each other. We're just a safe space, and we all need that. We all need a support network. Someone cheering us on because she's like, go big or go home. And I'm like, thank you. I needed that today.
It's great.
Yeah.
Did you unfollow a lot of Instagram accounts over the last 12 months?
Yeah, because I feel like it's all just marketing. And I'm like, I'm sick of you making me try to buy things. I don't need that. I don't want that. But now I've seen it. Maybe I want it. So I'm just like, delete, unfollow.
I did the same thing. I got rid of, this was years ago though, I got rid of all the bodybuilding pages that I followed and all that stuff. I just got rid of all of it. And it helped me deal with my image a lot. And I followed all these philosophy pages, and I love that. That's what I go to. So as soon as I did that, I was surrounding myself with the information and the content and all that I wanted to be consuming, not all this bullshit that is so ridiculous. Yeah,
and I was the same because I followed some like bikini models and that. I'm like, shit makes you feel shit.
Yeah.
Really did. I'd be feeling good. Then I'm like, no, I probably could just tighten up my hamstrings a bit. So I'm just like, unfollow, love you, unfollow. Good luck, unfollow. Like, yeah.
You've gone through quite a physical change over the few years that I've met you.
Yeah, I think when I first met you, I just had Hamish.
Okay.
So I think I was like, 6 months postpartum. So I was at my heaviest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you go through that journey?
As in losing the weight, or I feel like my body just does it.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I think because I do kind of let loose when I'm pregnant. I don't exercise and I eat. And then when I stop, I enjoy exercise and I eat a little less.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I only new post Hamish.
Yeah.
So like that was like how I envisioned your start of the journey.
Yeah,
But prior
that
to
was
you were
yeah. I've
all over
always
it.
been. I'm still probably the heaviest I've ever been, but it's average for my height and weight. Like, yeah.
Yeah. What's the hardest thing you've overcome?
The hardest thing I've overcome is, again, myself.
Yeah.
Myself, like, those insecurities, that self-doubt, the internal noise is a lot more quiet these days, which is really lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has there been any specific things where you've had to use the things that you've learned to overcome something that was really holding you back?
Well, even being here is big. I know that it might, for other people, might be like, oh, she's just talking to Harley doing a podcast. But for me, this is saying yes to something that would normally debilitate me. Like, I would be already anticipating being picked apart, like, judging myself through other people before I've even done something. And it would be enough to be like, no, we're not going there. We're not doing it. So... Like, even being here, I can come here. I was able to ground myself beforehand. Like, still being nervous, but at a way that I can still just come here, speak my truth, and be okay if it doesn't resonate, and be okay if it's just Mama Jess listening.
Do you feel like you've ever been a victim of being bullied?
I think, just growing up and with girls and everything like that, we can all just be bitches.
Yeah.
Like when you're trying to figure it out, and it's kind of like, oh, better you than me if you're picking on someone, like that's really awful, but it's kind of like, shit, I'm just going to go along and pick on you because then I'm safe here. Like, and it was a lot of that, like, especially, with girls and that growing up, you kind of just, it's just what we do.
Weird. It's weird when you're in a mob or like a group of friends, do you know what I mean? Like you do things that you wouldn't usually do.
Yes.
Because you kind of get riled up, and like definitely a younger version of myself would be more willing to do, like, I think maybe what you just described, and definitely my experience is, as I've matured, I've reflected and thought, why is that the
wasn't
normal?
my truth. Why did I go there? That feels yuck now. And that's some of the shame you have to get past too, because I felt like I even had to journal the other day, and I had to have a cry about just me being a bitch to people or not being nice to people in primary school, because it's like I was hurting, so I'll project that onto you. And, and as adults, we have an obligation to heal that, so we're not doing it now. So I'm not coming in being mean to you, damaging you,
Have you addressed any of those people in your past?
No, like I feel like I've done like energetic cord cutting and things like that, but I feel like a lot of it you don't necessarily if you're doing it within you and you're sending them their kind of energetic cords and that back, you don't really need to have those conversations where you say, look, I'm sorry. But I have, like, with my close friends now, I've, even with Jess, I'm like, I'm sorry that I hurt you while I was hurting, like, going through, because obviously, a lot of my friends I'm still friends with now, but we've hurt each other along the way. So it's just, and even with Mum, I did a journal the other day, and I had to kind of my Mum, and I messaged her because I'm just like, I know this isn't about you, but I just want to let you know that I've just had a good cry about how I used to treat you like shit, like, 16-year-old girls with their mum, like, you're not kind, so she was like, you don't have to do that, but thank you, like.
What would you tell your past self if you go back that your past self would listen to? It wouldn't fall on deaf ears. Do you think your past self would listen to you now, or they wouldn't even believe it? You're not me of the future.
I think, like, if I was like, trust your inner wisdom, like, I've always had this, like, I read, Eckhart's book, The Power of Now, at 21. Like, I've always had this niggling feeling of, like, there's more. And, like, I think a part of it too was me wanting to connect with people, but what I really needed to do was connect with myself. I feel like I had lost myself, and that's what I was craving, was coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to lose yourself to find yourself.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Yeah, I do. I believe that.
Yeah. It's one of those things that is kind of like sweeping the floor. Like, you sweep it and if you leave it, it gets dusty again.
Yeah.
You need to constantly
it's
be
forever
working
work.
on this.
Yeah, I feel like even with healing work, inner work, it's a forever thing because, tomorrow I could be like, oh shit, something's come up again. You know what I mean? Like you think you could be in this now moment and feel completely at peace, completely calm, and then tomorrow's another day, Like I feel like, yeah, you're better, but it's just forever changing.
Yeah.
Forever growing.
Yeah. So let's say we have some younger listeners and they're...
Hi, younger listeners.
they're going through these things that we're talking about, the things that our past selves have been through. You tell them to listen to their inner voice. Would you tell them anything else? Like something practical maybe? Like you just mentioned you journaled.
Yeah, so I would say keep journaling. Keep journaling. If you find time, meditate, or even just put your feet on the floor barefoot and just feel that earth underneath you. And, because I'm a Gemini, so I've got a lot of air, which means that I'm a thinker. I'm in my head a lot. So for me, if I had have had these tools earlier on, that calmness would have been, life-changing. Yeah.
How do you feel when you do earthing?
Oh, good.
I've read some studies on this.
Yeah,
and
I really love it.
The studies support it. And I love that sort of... I love when it's backed up by science as well, because it's kind of relieving. Like, I think that I act like the things that I believe are true. And I think that's good because it makes me a better person. But some of the things I'm kind of like, I'm not too sure. And then when it's backed up by science and how I feel about it, it's kind of like,
just like
all boxes ticked.
Yeah. Yeah, you would like that, Joe. I would never know how to say his last name. Dispenza. His book, because it's all scientifically backed up. Like everything. Like they did a study. And so they taped people's wrists and they weren't allowed to move them, weren't allowed to do anything. And the one group they did nothing. The other group had to actually like meditate and do their 5 exercises for 11 minutes every day. Yeah. And then in I think 11 weeks time, they took it off, and the ones that were doing the mental, just in their head, were doing the exercises for their wrists were twice as strong than the ones that did nothing. But they didn't do anything. Like they weren't allowed to squeeze their wrists or anything or do the exercises. It was just their mental projection, and they were stronger.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, I remember seeing it in The Secret. They would have the Olympic athletes sit down and envision themselves doing the long jump and stuff like that. And they put on the things that test your muscle fibers, and the same muscle fibers were firing as they were doing it, which I think
Isn't that cool?
It is cool, but I feel like I've also met people who have watched The Secret and they say that this is gonna, or like just this sort of stuff. They say this is gonna change my life, But then I see them a year later and like, my dad's still an asshole. Like my kids are still mean. Like I don't think it's enough to just envision it. Yeah. Like those people who were doing the long jump, they were also performing the long jump regularly as well.
Yes. Well, if you still have trauma that you haven't dealt with, then I feel like to an extent, I feel like you need to what's that saying? Heal your trauma, heal your nervous system, heal your nervous system, heal your emotional body, heal your emotional body, heal your energy body, heal your energy body, and raise your vibration. It's like, see how there's the steps, there's the systems. You can't just go straight to, I want to raise my vibration when you've still got yucky black tar running through you, those darker, denser consciousnesses. Like we have to get through them, the anger, the guilt, the shame, the fears. We have to alchemize them to then be able to step forward and have that higher vibration.
Yeah, I journal, not as often as I should, but anything that I'm really struggling with, I write it down. Yeah,
I'm a writer too. I prefer that.
It's something about seeing the words physically come out of my body.
I think sometimes you're even channeling it. Yeah. It's like it's not even you writing. It's like it's just coming from your higher self, or it's something, and then you look back. Like I even go through my journal now and I'm like, how clever am I? Like, how good are these words? Like,
Yeah.
but at the time, it's just like I'm writing, and then I'm like, wow, they're so, hello,
Yeah.
save them.
Yeah, and that's great. That's great. But I would also encourage people, you're just writing it for yourself.
Yeah, oh,
Like sometimes people think,
yeah.
I have to write this amazing journal post. Like someone else is going to read it. No, that's just for you.
Yeah.
Just don't worry about what you write. If it doesn't make any sense.
Oh, you can rip it up and burn it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to, you don't have to keep it. You don't have to, and even I do that now. Like if I film something for myself, I'll literally just like film myself, save it. And then every now and again I'll go back and be like, oh, that's where I was at that now moment. That's not how I feel now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's forever changing. We are all forever changing. Like we could listen back to these podcasts in a few weeks and be like, what were we even saying? What were we even on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing, by the way. Not on anything.
That's the beautiful thing about humans. We're always changing, but we're also always the same. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, we could look back on this and think that was silly. But then in 5 years, we could look back at it and be like, whoa.
Well, that was our first stepping stone. Yeah.
How would you describe love?
As the only thing that's real. That's how I would describe love. I feel like love has the power to dissolve all that tries to oppose it. Love wins. Love wins. Yeah.
Can you give me an example of where love has won?
Everywhere. Don't you think? Like, I feel like even how we're talking about our journaling and our healing and I feel like the only reason I was able to get rid of my fear is to choose love and compassion for myself. Like, it really does start with that self-love. Cliche, I know, but it really does. Like, that love, if you love yourself, you're not going to put yourself in shitty environments that don't feel good. If you love yourself, you're not going to do things that make you feel shit just to please others. Like, there's that new, like, self-respect that you just...
I agree with what you're saying. What about when you have to sacrifice for somebody else?
In what way? Like, I feel... Go.
I think one aspect of love is being happy within yourself.
Yeah.
What about if you have to give up your happiness?
You wouldn't. And
you would for your kids.
Yeah, but would they want me to? Would they want me to? Would their higher self want me to give up my happiness? I'm not going to help them if I'm not happy. I'm not going to help them. I'm not going to be able to be a loving mother if I'm not happy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to be projecting shit onto them and I'm going to be snapping and I'm going to be, not a great mother if I'm not happy within myself. Like, I don't feel like they're any less important. They have any less of my heart for me to be just as happy. Yeah.
What about when you have to teach them hard lessons?
I feel like
you're doing that.
I suppose mine is still young, love. Mine is still young. So obviously 7-year-old, 5-year-old, 3-year-old. And I'm not, come back to me when they're 16 and I'm, but at the moment I feel like, the world sometimes isn't going to be on their team and I want to be on their team and I can be on their team right now. So that's where I'm sitting right now.
Do you feel like fear and some of these negative emotions have a place?
Yeah. Because I feel like, even, what's that movie? That's just what I went to when you said that. I forgot what it is now, but it's like her sadness. She has to feel her sadness to then get her parents to understand the depth of what she's feeling.
Inside Out.
Yeah, is that what it is? Yeah, I love that movie.
I love that movie too. I'm a sucker for those movies.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like, how, she had to... she kept trying to be happy. She kept trying to be happy. And then it was like, to get her parents' attention, she actually had to say, this is how we're feeling. This is what's going on. And, Emilia, she's my eldest. And, she's a feeler. Yeah. She's a feeler. So I feel like she keeps us all in check because she just comes out and feels it and says it. So,
yeah. I think when you said love, I instantly thought of positive emotions, but it can be negative emotions as well.
Yeah, I feel like it's all of it,
Yeah.
And like what's positive and negative, they're all just still all just energy.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think that there can be good if there was no bad?
I think we always need an opposite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine.
Yeah.
The darkness and the light.
Yeah.
We need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you'd wish for a world that didn't have it.
Yeah. Yes.
But
Yes.
You know what I mean? But you need it.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
need something
Well, there's
to
always it's always going to be there. And I think in every dimension, it's always there.
Yeah.
You know, like even if you talk in aliens, there would still be.
Good and bad.
Yeah, good and bad. Like the.
Have you ever seen a miracle?
I feel like we forget or we lose sight of the everyday miracles that we have. Like, I feel like my 3 children are miracles to have 3 pregnancies and 3 healthy children. Like, that's a miracle, you know?
100%.
Yeah. And we forget those small little, you know, even just the sun setting and the sun rising. I feel like we're all being reminded to come back to these things right now with all that's going on and just remember the beauty of these little miracles. You know, no one has to tell the sun to set, you know?
Yeah. That's where I struggle because I know exactly what you're talking about. Like how lucky we are to be here. How grateful that I am to be here.
To live another day.
Yeah, and experience this life. I don't understand how people, like there's other people who don't get that.
Yeah, it's hard, but I think I'm at the moment now where that's okay because that's their journey, you know, and we can't force them to awaken or to see it before they're meant to, because then you're stripping them of that journey and that realization that then they're going to get to and look at the world that we are, but they have to do their necessary steps to get there, and who knows what karmic things that they're overcoming this lifetime too.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't give someone else the answers. They need to figure them out for themselves.
Yeah.
Or like, even if you did give them the answers, you rob them of the opportunity to figure it out.
Yeah, to have
for
that
themselves.
joy. You know how like even when we've overcome something and we get that, oh my God, like that that aha moment, you know, to strip someone off that moment, like it's not fair. Yeah.
Yeah. There's obviously been triggers that have led me to this point that I've subliminally sought out, which has helped me get here. Probably like I feel like I got here soon. But I still agree with what you just said, but I feel like the majority of people never get there.
I think maybe they're not meant to this lifetime. You know how they say not all our dragons will be slayed this lifetime.
Yeah.
You know, within us. And that's their journey, but maybe even the lesson that they're learning is you seeing that lesson. You know what I mean? Like you're like, oh, we never got to learn that money's not the most important thing.
Yeah.
But maybe you got that lesson from him not learning that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I feel like, it's like everyone can still, they might not get the lesson, but all those around them have, you know, so there's still beauty in that.
Yes. I think I got a lot of my lessons just an epiphany right now from the lessons that I realized my father did not learn. Yes.
Yeah. So, but again, we choose our own reality, and I believe that. So you still chose him. You chose him to be your dad for a reason.
Yeah.
And maybe it is for you to come to this now moment and be all that you are. You know what I mean? And if you hadn't had that, who's to say where you could be, you know? Like, as much as it's hard and it's shitty sometimes, it's all divinely guided. I believe that, yeah.
What do you mean when you say this life?
That we have plenty.
Can you elaborate on that?
I believe that we reincarnate or... Yeah? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I've probably... Who knows how many lifetimes we've had? I don't believe this is our first one. I don't believe it. Maybe our last. Like, I don't know.
Why do you believe that?
Why do I believe that? It's just an inner knowing. I've always believed it. When I was 12, I was hit by a car, and in that moment, I just instinctively went to cover my face, and it was just bright white light, and then I woke up on the side of the road, and I feel like I went somewhere in that time, and I came back and I chose to stay. Like, believe it or not, take it or not. If it doesn't resonate, that's okay. This is just my truth. It doesn't have to be anyone else's truth. But yeah, I chose to stay, and it was like, and ever since then, I've always just had this inner knowing that there's more.
Yeah.
So much more. And like, even I feel like that's when I say remember who you are, is because I'm not just, and that's when I say about the having to introduce myself, when I feel like, well, I'm so much more than just this lifetime.
Yeah.
You know, like my soul has inner wisdom and knowings, and you know, it's in our DNA from our ancestors and generations, that it's in there.
Yes, I feel like I'm the reincarnation of my ancestors.
Do you know when you see photos and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, you said like my cousin, he looks like one of my pops. Oh, I don't know, it goes far up there, but he died in war when he was 16, and no joke, he looks exactly the same as one of my cousins. And I'm just like, how does that even, like, it's just crazy. So it's like even the trauma in the DNA, I think, can be handed down.
I've heard a lot about this,
but I also believe that then the wisdom can be too.
Yeah.
So, you know, like there could be that real sacred inner knowing, witchy stuff all in all of us.
As far as I'm concerned, nobody knows. And you've been very naive to have a closed mind about it.
Yeah, I think, well, I always say this is how my friend and I see it too. It's like you're standing in your car and your head's out the sunroof.
Yeah.
And right now it's like, it's so clear up here. It's such a nice way to live. You know, it's just, it feels good up here with your head out the sunroof.
Yeah.
And you kind of want everyone to come and just put their head out too.
Yeah.
But not everyone's ready to.
Yeah.
And so every now and again when we get stuck in our shit, I'll be like, come up here. And this is just what I say. We just say it to each other, like, come up here, head out the sunroof. And we just get it straight away that we're like, oh yeah, we're just getting caught in our 3D for a moment there. Let's come back up here.
Yeah.
What a conversation. Where have we gone?
No, I love it. I love this stuff. People ask people, do you believe things repeat themselves? And obviously they have always repeated themselves. Yeah. And like, you can't remember being born.
No,
like,
I feel, yeah.
Why would you remember that?
Yeah.
But yeah. Interesting.
Yes, it's good.
Who do you want to become? Like, what's the next step for you, Mel?
I'm still figuring it out. I feel like just stepping into just trusting my intuition, just following those whispers, those feelings I get. This was a whisper. This was like, yeah, you need to do this chat with Harley. This is going to be a stepping stone. That was a whisper. And yeah, I'm just trusting those things that come up that feel divinely guided, that feel good. That's what I'm doing.
Have you ever felt like there's two voices inside your head or just one?
Well, I suppose, because your ego can be one, and then there's your intuition. And the intuition is the non-logical, like it doesn't really make sense. So it's kind of, to me, so because I was doing hairdressing and I was doing that 1 day a week, and in March this year I was just like, you got to quit. And I'm like, nah, like I've just done this apprenticeship. I've been doing it for, how many years? Like, can't quit. And it was like the pull, the feeling of it didn't make sense, but I was like, I had to. And then look what's happened since I have, all this time to myself, and just like the ripple effect of me doing that. Yeah. It's just been profound. And so trust the whispers.
Yeah. Whenever I'm making a tough decision or listening to that voice in my head.
Like, what made you even do the podcast?
Yeah, it's $1 million question.
Yeah.
But like, I reassure myself by telling myself there are no wrong answers.
Yeah. There's no right or wrong. There's no failure. There's just, you're just growing.
Yeah.
You're just growing. Yeah.
All right. Last question, Mel.
Oh God.
Who locally inspires you?
Now, I could have went anyway with this answer, and I was going to go with the one that was guaranteed not to make me cry, but where's the fun in that? So Emilia, my 7-year-old daughter, the other night I was like, come on, lay down, I'll do a meditation. And we always just, put on a Spotify and do the meditation. And I'm like, no, I'll say one. And she was like, no, Mum, I want to say one. And I was like, okay. So, Zali and I laid down and closed our eyes, and she took us on this beautiful meditation. It was so cute. And she said like magical 54 times in 4 minutes. And it was just, she was just creating from her heart. It was, I didn't want her to change a single thing, because she was just in that frame of speaking from her heart. She was creating. Doesn't matter that there could be other kids out there doing kids meditations, and I'm just like, look at you, just doing what you want to do, following your heart, just saying it, and it was beautiful. And I just happened to send it to, she told me to send it to everyone, because she was very impressed with it. And so I sent it to everyone. I sent it to Ads, and she lives with Molly, and Molly does the Bloom app, and they loved it. And she's like, I'm going to give Amelia a profile on the Bloom app. And I thought, this is how it happens. When you're creating from your heart, and it's just pure, and it's how easy it is. So now she's got her own little profile on the Bloom app, and it doesn't have to be hard. Yeah. I think we always think that, life has to be hard, and we have to struggle, and we have to have these hard things that happen to us to then be of meaning. And no, it can be as simple as just following your heart, speaking your truth. And look, and she's just got this, manifested this cool ass thing. And I'm like, mate, I'm inspired by you. I'm like, no one's asking you to change. No one's asking you. We're just, you be all that you are and do it. And it's just inspired me. It really did.
No, that's great. I'll have to, can you listen to it on the Bloom app?
I think so, yeah, actually.
I'll have to see if I can get a hold of it and have a listen.
She's got her own little profile on there, kid.
All right, Mel, we'll call it even there. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.